I, through the Department for Enterprise and through open source data, managed to commission a report to be done, a league table, if you like, of island schools, purely to benchmark against the UK. And this is in response to claims that people are being turned away from coming to the Isle of Man, deterred from moving to the Isle of Man because the standard of education wasn't perceived as very high. And I think that goes against what we get from the department, saying that there is a world-class education here. And all I'm saying is that perhaps it would be helpful to benchmark exactly where we are against the UK. Now, that league table has not been verified by the department in any way. I've no way of knowing if it's correct. The department publishes quite significant data in terms of the GCSE results, for instance, that was done on. And I would say even perhaps my league table is a bit unfair on Ramsey Grammar School, which, according to the data that's on the website by the Department of Education here, I'd say that Ramsey Grammar's achieving pretty highly in a lot of the categories. So perhaps it's not 100% accurate, but the point of it was to say that all 5 secondary schools, which probably fluctuate year to year anyway, are all pretty much high performing when compared directly with the UK Northwest schools, performing well against faith schools, single-sex schools, fee-paying schools. And actually, if it is near enough correct, that would say that all 5 of the Isle of Man schools appear in the top 30 of the schools in the Northwest. And I'd say that was a positive thing to promote. I was very interested to see through the Freedom of Information request all that information on the primary schools on the Isle of Man. And I'd be very surprised to hear that the Isle of Man perhaps is not achieving as highly against the UK. And I think the department has responded as to why they are against league tables and why they don't work. We don't want to restrict education for the weakest or the most vulnerable in society. We don't want to curtail the subjects that children can take up in secondary school. That's the last thing we want to do. But I think that as students and parents, we have the right to know how we are achieving against the UK, even if it's done on an average basis.
So the interview you're referencing is with David Watts, who I think is a concerned parent himself and like an independent researcher, I suppose, if that's the right term. The implication made in that interview was that there was a reluctance from the department to kind of publish these figures. Do you think that's true?
I think there's a reluctance to put league tables together of primary and secondary schools, yes. As a parent myself and as children's champion, I would say perhaps the department could look at giving, without obfuscating, which is the word used in the interview, without making it difficult for somebody to pull out the relevant information and compare like for like. The department has a paper on its website which very firmly says why it is opposed to league tables, why they're just a single measure, whereas there are 35 different things I think that they measure the school attainment on. But the bottom line is, both for further education, higher education or employment, you are judged on the number of GCSEs or A-levels that you receive and the grades you get, Matt. So it might be a blunt tool, but that's what is the bottom line. That's what we want our children to achieve. And I also was very sympathetic with his view that it would be best if the department published it in context and also gave us like for like comparison, because if the Isle of Man figure, exam type is not directly comparable with the UK, then how can we benchmark? But there must be at a level, whether it's the 5 GCSEs at grade A to C or whatever it is, there must be some comparisons that we could have that show the Isle of Man, which I've always believed has a very good standard of education.